Hi guys! I know you've been waiting for me to send you a violin video, so here we are. I know that you've been great at coming to your lesson when we have had lessons, and when you arrive sometimes we've already started, or there's a lesson ending and we're doing a transition, and sometimes we skip over some of the basics. So this video is more for our beginners. Some of you are signed up for intermediate violin this year, and this video is going to pertain more to the students who just started playing in September or October and came to lessons with me, or we didn't have lessons for whatever reason, and we may have skipped over some of the basics, or I didn't have a chance to correct you in class, and so now I wanted to get a chance to go through things with you once again. So a couple basics that I wanted to go over with you first is the proper care of your violin, making sure some of you already know that if you turn these pegs, some bad things can happen. So the tuning pegs are for your teacher only to adjust if you have to tune the tuning on your violin. The fine tuners down here is what we use in class sometimes. But to make things more efficient, I would normally like to tune your violin before class starts if that's possible. For one school where you can drop off instruments ahead of time, I like to tune them before you come in for class. And if I don't have a chance to, I'll do it quickly before we begin. Basically, if we're just checking to see if all the strings are in tune, and I will sometimes use a tuner or just use my ear, but I will do the fine tuning for you. So we're going to skip over tuning the violin today, but basically we're going to talk about how you can make your left hand fingers be in tune. So because I want to just warn you ahead of time, violin is not an easy instrument. It takes a lot of patience, and it's normal at the beginning and even in the middle of the school year to find that you might not enjoy the sound of your instrument when you use the bow, because the bow is a very complicated addition to the violin. There's many aspects of playing the violin, proper way to hold it, where to put your fingers on the fingerboard so that you're playing in tune, and then how to apply the bow to the string with just the right amount of pressure so that you can get a desirable sound. How do we achieve that? Step by step, baby steps. So many of you wanted to play with the bow right away, and I allowed you to, but then I saw a couple things going on that were wrong with how you were holding the bow. We can't hold the bow like a monster grip. We have to learn the proper way to hold the bow. So before we do that, I like to develop the left hand technique. So going past tuning, I also put tape on your fingerboards, hopefully. If I did not, I will do it at the next class that we meet. The reason we do this is it helps you learn where to put your fingers and develop a good sense of intonation. Intonation is the word we use for a note being in tune. For example, if you play notes that are not in tune, you'll hear it right away. If you're trying to hear a major scale, and if one note is off, you will hear it. So you can see I missed one of my notes because I didn't put my finger on the finger tape. So the tape is used, unless you have a private teacher who has already helped you graduate past the tape. We use that at the beginning so that we can kind of memorize where to put our fingers. Also, it's important to remember that your thumb should be planted underneath the first finger. So on violin, we consider this our first finger, this is our second finger, this is our third finger. If you've been learning piano, your teacher probably refers to this as your first finger. So just kind of get used to the new fingering system. First finger, or same as recorder, if you learned recorder last year. So first finger is index finger, second finger, middle finger, third finger, your ring finger. I have several ring fingers because I like to wear rings. Okay, so we'll work on how to place the fingers on the strings, but we also start with just pizzicato. Pizzicato is a word we use to just pluck on the strings. So we were trying that in class, learning the names of the strings. G is our thickest string all the way down at the bottom left. D, A, and E. And all those strings can be plucked with nothing in the right hand. So when you have the violin up, and you can also use a chin rest, which we'll talk about Mine's on already, but if you need help, I can help you put that on when you arrive at your lesson. The chin rest doesn't fit in your case usually, so you have to kind of attach it outside of your case or put it in a separate bag. The chin rest gives you a little bit of a cushion, or if you don't have a chin rest, you can wear a scarf or bring a towel or a washcloth and just put it underneath your chin, because the collarbone is very sensitive to the violin sitting on top of it. So we kind of skipped over the section where we try to hold the violin just with our chin and our shoulder so that you have a good solid way of holding it. The reason we do this is because we need to be able to freely move the left hand as we're playing. So I'm looking at the book Essential Elements, which we're using in class. This one here. And we first went to opening up page 2, where we talk about the names of the parts of the instrument. The bridge is an important one to note. The bridge is here, and this is called the fingerboard, the black section. Notice I'm not putting my fingers all over it, because this part shouldn't have the oils from your fingers touching. It can affect the strings. So the black part is called the fingerboard. This is your bridge, and the tuning pegs we stay away from, but it's important to know these are called the pegs, and these are called the fine tuners. Okay, and this is called an F hole, shaped like an F in cursive. So what we want to do is just have a firm grip with our chin and our shoulder, and then also try to just hold the violin straight between your thumb and your index finger like this. And right now we're not going to worry about where to put our fingers in the left hand. We're not going to play on the keyboard section. We'll call it fingerboard. Like on a piano, you just press the key and it's automatically in tune. But it's going to take a little time to develop a good sense of intonation. So flipping over to page 4 in your Essential Elements book, we were doing pizzicato. Remember, pizzicato is the word we use for plucking the string, not bowing, on the open D. On the open D, number 2, it says let's play open D. All you're going to do is just try to plant your thumb down here for a good sense of grip, and use your index finger to pluck the string. We're not going to pluck here between the bridge and the fingerboard. That's where our bow goes, not our fingers. So we're plucking down here, and you also want to notice that there's some rest in the music. So you're just going to play quarter notes, D, rest, rest, Alright, sounds very simple, but once you try it on your own, you might find that maybe you're hitting the G by accident. So we're trying to isolate one string at a time. And then number 3 is called Let's Play Open A. So our A is here. And instead of saying rest, we're going to try counting now. So number 3, you would count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so try to get through those 2 exercises at first and recognize the difference between the D on the string, on the musical staff, and the A. The A is the space note. Then we could start trying to switch between the strings. Number 4, called Two's a Team, we would be going from D, rest, 4, okay, and the reason we're not going to go with the bow right away, because it's actually quite difficult to switch between strings at the beginning. You're moving your bow quite a bit, so it takes a little time to develop that shoulder and elbow height to switch between strings. When we use the bow, we'll be doing more with the left hand like this, staying on the same string. So as much as you want to play with the bow, just try those first few exercises and see how you're doing. If you're doing well with that, you have enough knowledge right now to get through page 4 and page 5. All of it is just counting pizzicato. How do we know it's pizzicato? In the music, it'll either have a plus sign on top of the note, or it just simply says P-I-Z-Z, and short for pizzicato. We also learn about repeat signs. So in number 8, pay attention carefully. It says count carefully, and we also have repeat signs in the music with the 2 dots. So I encourage you to try to get through page 4 and 5 for the next lesson, and work on that thumb grip is very important, and just isolating one string. And then your left hand, remember, this wrist can't collapse in. We don't want to see a pancake wrist. It's pushed out. We just have our hand is acting like a shelf as we're playing. Once you have a good clear sound with the strings, you can continue on to learning where to press the fingers on the fingerboard. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the gold tape that I put on your violin, where your first finger goes, second, third, and fourth for the more advanced players. So I'm going to pause the video, and then I'm going to get started with the next section, with is playing with the left hand on the fingerboard, and then show you a little bit about maybe getting the bow going. And before we start talking about the bow as well, we also have to talk about rosin and how we put the rosin on the bow. Okay, so those are the basics of just playing with the left hand, pizzicato so far, and the next video will show you where to put the fingers and how we're going to play on the D string with the notes E, F sharp, and G. Okay, so I hope that helps you a little bit. Okay, so now you're looking at the book. This is page 6, Shaping the Left Hand. Okay, we have to shape our left hand a little awkwardly. Your middle finger and your ring finger stick together, and these are the 2 fingers that stay closer together because they're only a half step apart on the violin. That doesn't make much sense to you right now, but you will understand what that means once we get into playing more of the scales. So putting your 3 fingers down on the D string, being careful to keep your thumb underneath the fingerboard. It's not going to push up. It has to stay underneath. And with a firm grip, 1, 2, and 3. You can hold your violin like a guitar at the beginning if that helps you. So if you look closely, I have my first finger, second, and third on the D string. And that's a G. Second line G. There are a couple different G's on the violin. The G that we're using is on the D string. So don't get confused when I say we're playing the note G, but we're not playing on the G down here. We're playing on the D because we're counting up. D, E, F sharp, G. Do, re, mi, fa. Sound familiar? Okay, so number 10, let's read G. We have our 3 fingers planted firmly, pressing hard on the strings. If you're pressing hard enough, you'll see some lines coming through on your fingers. And the more you play your violin, it will, you'll develop calluses and it won't hurt as much. So it's normal to feel a little bit of pressure, uncomfortableness when you're playing, but it will go away over time. So let's try plucking now. Same thing with your thumb and first finger. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you did the hardest part, which is putting 3 fingers down. Now we're going to lift up 1 so that we only have 2 fingers down. And we're going to play the note F sharp. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Always counting in 4s is very important until we change time signatures. For the time being, we're just working in 4/4 time. You'll also notice on the page 6 that we are now seeing the treble clef, and you're also seeing note names, and you're going to have to eventually memorize these note names, but for the time being, they have notated if you're playing a G, F sharp. 12, number 12, lift off. Okay, we're going to be switching between third finger, second finger, third finger, second finger. Notice my first finger is always still staying down. Why is that? Because we're going to eventually go back down to first finger. Many students would say, oh, I'm not using that finger, I can just let it pop up when I'm playing. But that's maybe 2 years down the road when you're a little bit more advanced. For now, just really get used to just gripping all 3 fingers down as we're playing. So number 12, lift off. G, G, G. F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, G, G, F sharp, F sharp, G, F sharp, G. And then at the end of the line, you see that repeat sign. That means we have to go back and do it one more time. And we don't waste any time. We just have a 1 beat rest and we have to go back to the beginning. So here's number 12. If you want to play along with me, I'll count off. 1, 2, ready, play. Repeat. Okay, so I hope you get that far and you're able to comprehend the difference between the different notes, and just keep those basic principles in mind. And always sitting at the front of your chair. You can't see where I'm sitting, but I don't have anywhere to lean back. But in school, sometimes we have these chairs that encourage us to lean back while we're playing. Yeah, just sit up straight. Pretend you're on a piano bench and you can't lean back. Or you can stand and play. That's even more comfortable. Okay, so try to get up to page 6 until our next lesson, and then we're going to be learning notes on the A string. And then before you know it, we'll be playing a full D major scale. If you want to go ahead and give it a try, open, first finger, second finger, third finger, going to the A string, open, first finger, second finger, third finger. All right? Take your time though, don't rush. Okay, everything is in slow. And as I mentioned before, many students come in saying, why do I sound like a dying cat? It's okay. The first parts of playing a string instrument are very challenging, and it takes a lot of patience and perseverance and daily practice. So I encourage you to try and just, every day it'll get a little bit easier. Don't give up. And if we miss a lesson or you miss a lesson, there's still things that you can do in the book just by going ahead and reading ahead, because there's not much new material until we reach page 10. Okay, so you have a lot that you can do, and if you're very, very interested in using the bow, I'll send you a video on how to play with the bow next. Alright, I hope that helps you a little bit, and if you have any questions, please email me, and if I missed anything, let me know. Okay, have a good night, and I will see you in school soon. Bye!